So welcome everyone to this webinar and hybrid event on celebrating the Web Accessibility Directive. This is the 4th anniversary that we are doing. I'll start with some housekeeping. We do provide live captions, as always, of the English content of this event, and we also provide automatic translation into French, German, Spanish, and Swedish. If you are joining us online today, you can choose to either have the live captions via the closed captions function, use the CC button in Zoom. You can also follow the link that will be provided in the chat by one of my colleagues, and there you can also find the automatic translations. We do, of course, also provide international sign, both in the room and online, and microphones are muted for those of you who join us online to avoid any background noise. And in the room, we cannot mute you, but I think that you will be very humble and try to move around silently so we don't disturb people with hearing disabilities. Although we have muted your microphones online, we do want to hear from you. So please do use the Q&A function. Except for this introduction and the keynotes, we do have room for questions from the audience in all our sessions. IAAP believes that interaction is important, so please do provide your questions and we will make sure to try to answer as many as possible. In the room, we will have volunteers running with microphones for you. The chat will also be monitored, but only for technical questions. And because I do not have a very good eyesight, please help me with putting the questions in the Q&A, otherwise I will miss them in the chat. So the Web Accessibility Directive was the first common legislation on digital accessibility that covers all of the EU. It's also quite unique. You can claim that it should have had a bigger coverage, a bigger scope, that it should have been implemented long ago, or that it should be implemented faster, that the enforcement isn't strong enough, and all of these things may or may not be true. But people have a lot of views on this. We think that it's worth celebrating a first step, and it's quite a big step for Europe when it comes to digital accessibility. And that is why we are very happy from IAAP EU, together with European Disability Forum, EDF, which is the umbrella organization for all organizations for persons with disabilities in Europe, to collaborate on this celebration that we do annually since the application of the directive. I also want to thank our tech team. This year we are starting a collaboration with, I just lost my monitor. Thank you. With the Teresia's group of the Masaryk University in Brno in the Czech Republic. They are supporting us with all the tech setup here on site and also the live captioning. So thank you for that collaboration that is based on a long-term relationship with IAAP in the Czech Republic. We also want to thank Atelier 15, the venue where we are, the most charming place we have found ever. And this is why we always try to return to Brussels. And Sam and his crew has been fantastic as usual and charming. And I know that they will take very good care of us the whole day today. Our international sign is provided by Overseas International. And of course, there are a lot of people in the background that are not seen that make this such an event possible. So thank you also to all staff, both in the US and here on site. But friends, colleagues, and partners are not enough to make sure that these kind of activities can run smoothly and free of charge. We can do this open not only to our members, but also to the general public because of generous support from our sponsors. So I would really like to thank our main sponsor, Level Access, and our goal sponsors, 247 or 24/7 accessible documents, and Microsoft for their support. Otherwise, we wouldn't be standing here, or we would need to charge you a lot, and that wouldn't be very good either. So what happens if I do this? Here comes the agenda. That's perfect. So we will start with keynotes, of course, from the European Commission and the European Disability Forum. And then Alejandro from EDF asked me to do a little recap of the Web Accessibility Directive. And I think that is quite a nice idea, because especially nowadays when people have been starting to talk about the European Accessibility Act every day, there is still a lot of confusion. Which law covers what, and is this an extension of the first law, or what is happening? So I've tried to make sure that we know what we are talking about and focusing on today, so that everyone is on the same page. We have many hundred people joining us from all over the world online, and so I'm sure some of them may mix the laws up or don't remember what we talked about in 2018. And then we will have panel discussions and Q&A presentations the whole day through. We will break for coffee in the morning and in the afternoon, and we will have a lunch break in the middle, of course. But again, we do appreciate any questions, and we'll try to respond to them as soon as we can, or as much as we can. And the program is, as always, put together based on what the monitoring agencies in the member states are asking us, or what they are having problems or challenges with, and also input from the European Commission, who is also supporting this event every year. And therefore, we have put together a program where we talk about the best practices in public sector. We talk about the results of the workshop we carried out yesterday around the EN requirements that go beyond WCAG. We have an end user focus, a whole panel where end users discuss how they see accessibility, web accessibility these days. And we have two of the really recurring issues, which is testing of mobile apps and about document accessibility, which seems to be a never-ending discussion around those topics. And another hot topic is about testing in general, so testing tools versus user testing and manual testing and so on. So that's also one of the recurring topics that we have. We will then get policy updates from both IAAP and EDF, and a small panel with EDF members and certified professionals talking about the future of, or the next steps, what's in the strategy for IAAP moving forward. And somebody's telling me that I didn't introduce myself. Sorry for that. I think that everyone knows the monkey, but my name is Susanna Lorin. I'm the leader of the EU program of the International Association of Accessibility Professionals, and I'm also one of the founders or co-founders. And I still have a couple of minutes, so that's good. IAAP is a member-driven organization. We have members in more than 100 countries, and we have more than 7,000 members. And we also have chapters in different parts of the world. So the EU program is set up to ensure that all our members and other stakeholders that are based in Europe or make business in Europe get the same benefits as in other regions and local chapters and so on. So there is a Nordic chapter covering Norway, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland. And there is a German-speaking chapter covering Germany, Austria, and German-speaking part of Switzerland. And then there is a chapter in the UK covering the UK. And then we have other chapters also around the globe. But of course, even if we have 3 strong chapters in the European region, we still have many countries where we do not have local activities yet. So, and that is why we want to make sure that members in Europe get the same kind of specific local benefit, local, if that's the right word, benefits as everyone else. So all this legislation and standardization and the typical EU ways of doing accessibility, that should also be provided. So that is why we are doing these events and webinars and newsletters and policy updates and other things that we do at the EU level. One of the interesting things that we provide also as an organization is the professional certification. And I have seen several certified professionals around today. And of course, if you have any questions around that or membership or anything else about IAAP, it's a good time to ask today. We have several staff here, but we also have the panel and the discussion in the final event. This event will be recorded and published on the YouTube and I believe also the IAAP Global website. So I think that is more or less what I had. I don't use notes. I never know if I'm saying what I'm supposed to say, but I guess that's more or less what I wanted to say. And it's now 9:15, and let's see if we can have our first speaker. Do we know if we have?
Hello, Susanna. This is Malcolm. We're just working through some technical issues, getting June to join, and we'll be with you shortly.
Do you want us to swap to do Alejandro first? Because I can see him. He's just a couple of meters.
That would be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Are you prepared to do the first speech? No, he says no. Of course he is. So let me introduce to you the one and only Alejandro Moledo del Río, who is the deputy of the European Disability Forum and also head of policy. And he will make a keynote for us that I know is always super interesting and relevant. Are you okay with a microphone like this? Yeah, and that will not work. You need to do this. You are a rock star, so just.
I don't think it, now, yes. Yes, good. Thank you very much. I do have some notes, but sometimes I don't understand my handwriting. So, that's the thing. Well, once again, thank you very much to IAAP for partnering with us to celebrate the Web Accessibility Directive. My name is Alejandro Moledo. I'm the Deputy Director and Head of Policy at EDF. You may have seen in the agenda that now the keynote was by Catherine Norton, our director. She's at the moment in a protest around the EU institutions that one of our members has organized, and she will join us for the afternoon. So basically, we swap places in the agenda. So I hope I can deliver a keynote speech. I must say that I agree with Susanna that the Web Accessibility Directive may have come a little bit under the radar because of the European Accessibility Act, but it's indeed a crucial piece of legislation for the European disability movement and for the accessibility community. Already 4 years. It's not a toddler anymore. Apparently, it's a preschooler or something. But we can see that it's making progress in ensuring that the public sector websites and mobile applications are more accessible to persons with disabilities, and obviously that built upon afterwards the adoption of the European Accessibility Act, and now we have a very coherent and broader legal framework as for accessibility to ICT, digital technologies, and so forth. So we do have seen the progress in the public sector, although, as you may remember, or you may have seen in the evaluation that the Commission carried out, there are still some flaws and some challenges for public sector bodies and also for users with disabilities when it comes to the monitoring, first of all, the lack of sometimes the issues that users face when we try to access a website, navigation, media content, forms. I mean, you know this well. The issue as well of lacking accessibility statements in websites and mobile applications, this obviously needs to be fixed. We from EDF and our members, we advocated for such a statement because it was a way, we imagine it as a useful way for users to contact the website owners and get a solution when we face accessibility issues. And unfortunately, this has not been totally picked up by public authorities. We do see that the feedback mechanism as well that should be provided in this accessibility statement is sometimes, in many cases, not so useful. Actually, to the users, is not responsive enough, and that goes as well with the enforcement mechanism. Even if the enforcement mechanism that's a usual, let's say, flaw in many legislation concerning the public sector. We see that also for other publicly procured goods and services and buildings. I mean, there is no way, not an easy way for users to challenge a public authority when they procure an inaccessible product or inaccessible building infrastructure and so forth. This is a common issue that we will need to address in the new commission that you may have heard that is starting at some point this year or maybe beginning of next one. One of the objectives would be to revise the public procurement directives. We will try to address this point, which is not only concerning digital accessibility, but also other products, other services, and so forth. So in this regard as well, we have seen that there are some accessibility statements missing. The feedback mechanism sometimes is not as useful as it should be. The enforcement mechanism is not impactful, and users they are afraid or they are just bored of even trying and look for redress, because people with disabilities, we tend to be very resilient and find other ways to access or to get the information that we need. So we need to address these points jointly. And a way to do so is by involving persons with disabilities and their representative organizations. And unfortunately, also, as the evaluation showed, there is not so much involvement. We see that 60% of organizations representing persons with disabilities were either limited or not involved at all in the monitoring process, even if it is true that some member states did set up committees in which they involved disability organizations, accessibility professionals, academia, and I believe this is the way to move forward. I would just like to conclude. Susanna, please cut me if I get too long, or maybe while June is joining, so I can talk for ages. So I just wanted to address three aspects to conclude, like concerning this involvement of the disability community in the implementation of the Web Accessibility Directive, and also, why not, also regarding the European Accessibility Act. We see that monitoring authorities have sometimes issues to identify what to monitor. And in this regard, one of the reasons why we propose the involvement of persons with disabilities and disability organizations is precisely to identify the priority areas or the priority websites and mobile applications that should be monitored. And we believe that the public sector monitoring agencies should benefit from the expertise of having an organization gathering the inputs of all the disability organizations in the country to do so. Obviously, the disability organizations have their own challenges, I can tell you that, but nevertheless, it's important to try and set these mechanisms to ensure that we can participate and we can provide our inputs to the priority objectives. It is also important to just not to replace, a real user experience with just an expert using a screen reader once, and just because having a real user going through the process or the task on a specific website would also bring not only the accessibility issues, but also the usability aspects that that a website could improve in order to be actually more useful, which is the end goal of the public sector to the citizens. So having this expert just using a screen reader once to say, okay, there is no problem here, will not guarantee that the website is actually as accessible, as useful as it can be. So again, another example on the importance of involving persons with disabilities and their representative organizations. Concerning this I said. Yeah, concerning how to involve the users in the feedback and the monitoring mechanism. Here, well, we see that the challenges that I was mentioning before concerning the disability organization. We have heard some monitoring bodies telling us, okay, we try to contact your members, but they don't have the capacity to respond. They don't have the expertise and so forth. This is why it's important for the public sector to really understand that funding for disability organizations is crucial for them to build the capacity and the expertise and the alliances as well to partner with other stakeholders to do this kind of work. Having a one-off meeting with the representative disability organizations at national level will not change the situation and may not be even positive on the long run. So it's important to set this kind of structured dialogue with the public sector, as we, for example, have at European level with the European Commission with funding and the possibility to really build the expertise internally in the disability organizations to contribute to this exercise by partnering with accessibility professionals, by running surveys among their members, by building the expertise internally with accessibility experts working in the disability organizations. So it's important that the public sector body understands that a one-off consultation may not bring the fruitful results they expect. And having, this investment as well in the disability community is crucial also for the success of disability-related legislation. So it is also important to, as I said, to bring opportunities to persons with disabilities to become accessibility professionals. One of the results or findings of the evaluation of the Web Accessibility Directive showed that there is a shortage of accessibility professionals, and we believe that this should be a job opportunity as well for persons with disabilities, but it's important that this is enabled by accessible courses, by funding, by the possibilities to grow in this domain as well as a career as well for persons with disabilities, as is happening, but not as much as we would like to see in some countries. And I would like also finally to conclude by stressing the collaboration of users and disability organizations with accessibility professionsions. We see that this collaboration is crucial in the development of technical standards. For example, yesterday I've heard a fantastic workshop that solved all the issues about the EN 301549. So having this collaboration between professionals and users is important, because from the disability organizations, and I've been saying this quite some time, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, we can bring our lived experiences. We gather the lived experiences of persons with disabilities and set a position or set a common, like a list of recommendations or problems, issues, etc., etc. But we are not engineers, we are not web developers, we are not architects. Some of us are, not me. So it's important that we cooperate with academia, with accessibility professionals in order to translate these concerns, these issues, these potential solutions into something practical that the industry and the public sector can actually pick up and address. So I believe this event is a good example of a fruitful collaboration between users and accessibility professionals. And I thank you once again for being here today and for celebrating the Web Accessibility Directive. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alejandro. You can keep your microphone for a while. So thank you for doing this and for swapping with Catherine. I think Catherine will be with us the afternoon to do your speech. So that's kind of a good collaboration between yes. So as long as I talk to you, I think you can stay here. Yeah. No, I didn't want you to leave. I never want you to leave. So this is but it's not only is it a good collaboration between users and experts, but also the the way that the European Disability Forum and IAAP EU is collaborating is really fruitful in many ways, because I mean, the end user needs and end user preferences for people with disabilities, that's the whole reason we do accessibility, right? So, yeah. So you had a long list of things that don't really work yet, but I can also tell you that what we have got from the monitoring agencies this year is that there is a lot of increase. So after or improvements after, I think after the review was written, a lot has happened, not because of the review, but just because it takes some time for the monitoring agencies and for the public sector to align and adjust and make, you know, understand how to do things. And we see a lot of movement really. So I think when we meet next year, your keynote may even be more positive than this year. Okay, so I leave the policy part to Catherine then, but thank you for being here and thank you for collaborating and making sure that we have such a good representation from all your members. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with you. Thank you.